What's going on, everyone? Jack here from Half Chrome. Now, the new Mini 3 isn't necessarily a new drone. It's an iteration of the Mini 3 Pro. And I want to talk about the differences between the Mini 3 drones, as well as some of the other Mini options out there. And they're all really good options for beginners. Stay tuned. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is what makes a mini drone, and kind of the general definition is that it's less than 250 grams. Now, that's a magic number in the United States and in other countries because it changes some of the restrictions and rules about flying. Here in the United States, you don't have to register a drone if it's less than 250 grams. That is 0.55 pounds. It also isn't subject to the new remote ID laws. Now, remote ID is basically a digital license plate that anyone in your area while you're flying can look up and get some information about the drone and even about you. So let's talk about what is the new Mini 3. And yes, it's very similar to the Mini 3 Pro. The biggest difference is that it doesn't have obstacle avoidance. The Mini 3 Pro here has obstacle avoidance sensors in the front and in the rear, also on the bottom. We're gonna lose those sensors. Now, it also has some front arm gear to kind of allow it to stand a little bit better. They took the weight that they saved on the sensors and added a little bit more stability in some landing gear. The two cameras on the Mini 3 drones are actually the same, but the Mini 3, not the Pro version, is limited in a couple of different ways. So the Mini 3 Pro here can shoot 4K 60, whereas the Mini 3 will only shoot 4K 30 frames a second. The bitrate is also different. The Mini 3 Pro is 150 megabits per second, whereas the Mini 3 is 100. You can also record in H.264 or 265 with the Pro, only 264 with the Mini 3. Now, another difference is in order to save costs, instead of going with the O3 transmission system, the Mini 3 has the O2 system. So while the Mini 3 Pro has a range of 12,000 meters, that's like 7.5 miles, the Mini 3 has the O2 at 10,000 meters or 6.2 miles. Yeah, both are really impressive. Also, the clarity coming back, O3 is 1080, where O2 is limited to 720. On your screen on your phone or on the RC, you're not really going to notice too much of a difference. Now, I really like the sensor on this 1/1.3 inch sensor is fantastic. It does much better than some of the other mini drones with smaller sensors, especially in lower light situations. So now, in terms of flight modes, the Mini 3 doesn't have all the flight modes that the Mini 3 Pro does. So they both have the quick shots, the drone, the orbit, the circle, the rocket, stuff like that. But the Mini 3 Pro has the active track where it will follow you. The Mini 3 does not, right? DJI does not include active track with drones that don't have obstacle avoidance. It also doesn't have master shot, so if that's something you're really looking for, not on the Mini 3. You also aren't going to get hyperlapse on the Mini 3, but it is on the Mini 3 Pro. Now, if you're a professional photographer, you may want those things. You may notice the difference in some of those other specs. You may need that 4K 60, but for the average Joe, for the weekend warrior, you're probably not going to notice much of a difference in terms of quality. Now, there are actually some advantages to the Mini 3 over the Mini 3 Pro because it lacks the obstacle avoidance. It's a little bit lighter, so we got those stabilizers in the front for the arms, but it also has a longer flight time. So the lighter weight, the less processing power going on for the obstacle avoidance. Now we can get 38 minutes of flight versus 34 for the Pro and 51 minutes versus 47 that the Pro has. Those are impressive. Now that 51 minutes, if you buy the extended battery, that's the longest flight time of any DJI drone. Pretty impressive. So that being said, the Mini 3 is $200 less than the Mini 3 Pro. So you gotta have to think about, do I really want those features? So the Mini 3 starts at $460 now that's without a remote. Now you can just fly this thing with existing remotes that you have for some of your other DJI drones, the RC-N1, the RC Pro, and the DJI RC. Now if you need to buy the drone and a controller with it, that's gonna cost you $559. Now if you want the remote controller with the screen, and I really like the DJI RC, that's gonna cost you $700. Basically add $200 to all of those prices if you want the Pro version. And if I think you're a professional, this is probably the backup drone that you're looking for. Now, if some of those things don't matter to you, the Mini 3 actually does make a pretty decent backup drone, but I'd still opt for the Mini 3 Pro. But actually, I don't think either of these Mini 3 drones are the best option for kind of beginners. I think I have some better options for you. So if you like drone and technology related content, we'd love for you to hit that thumbs up button or maybe even consider subscribing. And if you're looking for one of these drones, we've got links down below. They're affiliate links and they'll help support this channel. All right, back to the video. I think this guy, the DJI Mini 2, is actually probably a better option. It's a little less expensive and very comparable in a lot of different ways. We have the same range on this guy. Now, the Mini 2 does have a 31-minute flight time, so it's not quite the 38 minutes or the 51 with that extended battery, but 30 minutes is pretty good, and you can always buy additional batteries. Now the camera is really good, 4K, 4K 30, but it does have a smaller sensor. So I'm gonna give the Mini 3 and the Mini 3 Pro both an edge in lower light situations. But if you're flying in daylight or in pretty much most normal situations, that's not really going to be an issue. The video coming out of this thing is really, really good, and you're gonna be pretty pleased with it. Even night video isn't terrible. I've got a couple of those that I was pretty pleased with out of this guy as well. So the Mini 2 here with a remote controller is going to cost you about $450. That's a savings of about $110. And I think if you're not a pro and you don't need the absolute best, this is something to think about. But actually it isn't the Mini 2 that I think is the best drone for a beginner. It's something that a lot of people don't know about. That's the Mini SE. And the Mini SE is basically the same thing as the Mini 2 with two minor differences. It actually has the same camera, but like the Mini 3 is limited by software to the Mini 3 Pro, this Mini SE has some limitations. They won't let you record in 4K. So you can record in 2.7K 30, and let me tell you, you're not gonna notice the difference. It is really, really good, unless you're a pro. But again, this drone isn't built for a pro. I'm talking about for a beginner. The other thing that you will notice is the range. Now the Mini 2, like the Mini 3, has a range of 10,000 meters or just over 6 miles. This guy has a 4,000 meter range, and that's about 2.5 miles. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. 2.5 miles is pretty darn far. That's more than good enough for most people. So the Mini SE is a really good option. And here's the best part. It's $299. Yeah, $300. So $150 less than the Mini 2. That's $260 less than the Mini 3. I really like this as a beginner drone option, something you should consider. You may be wondering, why am I not recommending some other mini drones? Everything on this list here is made by DJI. Now, I've flown tons of mini drones, pretty much all of them. They're made by Hubsan, Zeno, Fimi, Autel, MJX, and Potensic even have mini drones, and I've pretty much flown them all. These are the best. DJI does make the best mini drone out there. The camera quality, the ease of use, the app, everything is pretty much better or cheaper or both. So at the end of the day, you really kind of have to think about, what is my purpose? If I'm a pro, really the best pro option is the Mini 3 Pro, and that comes with a bigger price tag. And then after that, you really have to figure out, what is your budget? Is it $300? Is it $450? Is it $570? Is it $1,000? The more you're willing to spend, the more features you're gonna get. Maybe that's not the answer you wanted to hear, but at the end of the day, there are a lot of really good beginner drone options out there for you. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. Good luck, everyone, and happy flying.